Welcome to my second video. Honestly, I wasn't even sure if the second video would happen at all, or at least happen in time. I know this about myself. I often struggle to stay consistent. But somehow this feels different, because I really enjoy it. And that gives me hope that I will actually keep doing this. Today started simple. I just wanted to get some milk for my coffee. But when I stepped into the pantry, I stopped. There's this cable shaft here that my girlfriend and I covered on, I think, New Year's Eve. We used drywall and metal rails to finally hide it. And yes, it's better than before. But it still feels very rough. And every time I look at it, yeah, it's time to change it. And it's not just there. The space under the stairs feels the same. Still raw. Still looking more like a construction site than a part of our home, you know? So it's time to change. Time to order some material. And time to learn how to plaster. Honestly, I have no idea how to do it. In the evening, I picked up the material from the hardware store. They have a drive-in pickup, which is really cool. But finally at home, it was already late. Too late to begin a project like this. Tomorrow, I will unpack everything and start. In our garage and in the garden shed, we still had some tools left from building the house about, I think, a year and a half ago. The drawers and buckets were in the shed, along with other things I could use for this. Back then, that shed was our construction hut. That's where it all started. And even now, it still serves us well. Then the work began. First, I laid out the painter's fleece, because I was pretty sure that most of the filler would probably end up on the floor anyway. So I taped it down on all sides with the painter's tape, just to keep everything in place and stop it from slipping. Then came the first tricky part, mixing the filler to the right consistency. I still remembered that from building the house. Back then, I often had to mix mortar and similar materials. A little too much water and suddenly everything gets too runny. I didn't enjoy it back then, and honestly, it's still not my favorite part. To start, I went with a slightly thinner mix, probably too thin. Especially when working on the edges, I really struggled. I'm honestly just out of practice. Moving the filler between the drawers, applying it properly, getting the hand movement right, and all of that is pretty much gone from my muscle memory. And to be fair, I never really knew how to do it perfectly anyway. At some point I could just about manage it, but now I have to learn it again, with completely new material and new techniques for drywall work. The next day it was time for the second round, but before that I had to sand everything down once to get rid of these uneven spots and the rough bits, so I could start the second layer properly. And that day it already felt a bit better. The filler was definitely better today. The consistency this time was much closer to what I actually needed, which makes it easier to work with it. A day later, I first had to fix the light switch in our hallway. Well, it's not really just a light switch. It controls pretty much everything. Lights, scenes, the vacuum and the blinds. The day before, I hit it with my hand and broke the mounting bracket. So now I had to replace it.
Okay, so the thing is, I destroyed this element here. So I will create a design which consists of two objects, because I can't print this whole object in one, because we can see here these little two knobs, or in that case we only have one knob, and I can't print it in that direction, because if I print it we have the layers here, and if I put pressure on this we get a lot of pressure on the single layer. So the solution to solve it is to print it in that direction, so I have multiple layers, and if I put pressure in that direction we put pressure on multiple layers instead of one. So I will print first the base, and after that I will print these knobs with a little extension, and then I just glue it to the base. So that's the plan, and we will see how I will do it.
After that, I continued with the third layer filler. By then, I already had a bit more practice and it started to feel much easier. This was the final step, so finally the plastering part was coming to an end. After a shower, the print for the replacement part was done too. I glued the pieces together and about half an hour later it was ready to install. The next day it was my girlfriend's turn. She and my dad painted the whole house back then, so by now she's already really good at it. So luckily she took over this part. She had to paint it twice, but that still worked out well in a single day. So by the evening we had time to go get a few things for the new space. The next day, after finishing the last small adjustments in the pantry, I started assembling the IKEA shelves for under the stairs and for the pantry. I've always enjoyed putting things like this together. It's kind of like Lego, just bigger. The next morning making coffee brought me back into the pantry again. And this time, I just stood there for a moment and looked at it. I really love how it looks now. And under the stairs too. It finally feels warm and lived in. Not perfect, but done. And sometimes done is exactly what a space needs to finally feel like home. Thanks for watching, and I will see you next time for the next project, out in the garden.